Plopsaland De Panne is a popular theme park on the north end of Belgium, just a short drive away from the North Sea. It's about 20 minutes away from Dunkirk, an hour and a half away from Brussels, and they've been operating for almost 100 years. We're getting closer. They opened in 1935. They're currently home to 7 roller coasters, 6 according to RCDB, but I'll get to that later. Their signature attraction is the Ride to Happiness. It's a Mock Rides extreme spinner. There's already a full separate review on this channel. Please go check it out if you want to hear about that attraction. In this review, I'll mainly be talking about the park as well as some of the other attractions that you'll find here. But Ride to Happiness is like the main reason that a lot of you will probably want to go here. That attraction is incredible. But the park has quite a lot to offer, including various family rides. There's 2 on-site resorts, one of which is a hotel like literally attached to the theme park. Right when you arrive, you can see it directly outside the entrance. Very whimsical and cool looking. You can see those water slides jetting out to the side. There's also a full campground called the Plopsa Village you can stay at. So tons of options. The park has a ton of personality. It's a place that I would absolutely recommend. Just be prepared to spend some money here, because this was probably the most expensive theme park that we went to in Europe. Not necessarily in day tickets. I mean, you can get a ticket there for a little less than 50 euros, but the actual price for each physical item that you buy at Plopsaland starts to add up. So we got a lot to talk about, but first I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Magic Spoon. This cereal reinvents all of your childhood favorites with that same great taste that you love, with more protein and less sugar. And there's so many great flavors you can choose from, including maple waffle, cookies and cream, blueberry muffin, and cinnamon roll. But no matter which flavor you pick, each serving has 13 to 14 grams of protein, 4 to 5 net grams of carbs, and 0 grams of sugar. Except for Honey Nut, which has 1 gram of sugar. But it's only 140 calories per serving. And if you're looking to change things up from a bowl of cereal, they also offer cereal bars. These have 1 gram of sugar, 10 grams of protein, 4 net grams of carbs, and only 130 calories for each bar. And with these breakfast bars, you can build your own variety pack, so you can have whichever flavor you want. Same flavors as the regular cereal. And all of it is keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free. And it's crazy because it doesn't taste like something that'd be diet-friendly, but it is. So click the link below to get Magic Spoon today. If you use the promo code COASTER at checkout, you'll get $5 off your purchase. And for our Canadian and British friends, don't feel left out. Magic Spoon also ships to Canada and the UK. So go to magicspoon.com/coaster or scan the QR code seen on your screen. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Now let's dive into Plopsaland. The park is located in an area of Belgium that is very flat, so you won't get any terrain usage with the different attractions here. You're literally going to be driving past fields to get here. And the park is located in a small town. So you're literally driving past like different shops and villages, but the advantage to that is that the park is looped in with public transit. So there's a train station literally right outside the front entrance. So if you take a train to the park, you can get dropped off directly outside the front gate, which is really convenient. I gotta say, I am definitely not a huge fan of this front entrance. It's basically just this big giant Plopsaland billboard. I wouldn't say it's very impressive. Like, it gets the point across, like, all right, yeah, you know where you are, but it's kind of ugly in my opinion. And I don't feel like it's an accurate representation of the beauty of what's actually inside the park. Because Plopsaland is really scenic. They do a great job with all the different landscaping and theming, and I feel like this entrance is just kind of cheap looking. But luckily, that's pretty much where it stops. After you pass through your turnstiles, you have this covered entry area, kind of a smaller version of those covered Main Street sections that you'll see at like Tokyo Disneyland, Universal Studios Japan, or Warner Brothers Movie World in Australia. But you'll emerge from that, you'll see a bunch of fountains in the middle. That's a great little plaza for kids to play in. And to get to all of the main attractions, you're gonna have to go to the left. And I feel like that's a bit deceiving because usually with the front entry area, you reach a point where it splits off, you can go to the left or to the right, but to the right is where the hotel is. If you go straight across, you have the Myland indoor area. This is an entire kids section with tons of different rides and attractions everywhere. It's a place that I really did not get any chance to spend time in, so unfortunately there's not a whole lot that I'll be able to add here other than you can look on the website to see all of the different attractions that they offer there, but everything is geared towards a younger audience. And right next door is also a theater where they do some live shows. But the reason why I say you're going to eventually have to go left is because it's from there that splits off into your main park layout, which is this one giant circle. The whole park goes around this lake in the center. That's where you'll find like Ride to Happiness, and there's a big Viking ship, and everything is nestled in the trees, so the whole place feels very secluded, which I really like. It's a very scenic park. I love all the flowers everywhere. At times, you'll even find some of the flowers in arrangements of like bigger flowers. And all blends very well with the theming. You'll find loose decor for a lot of different attractions, and while it certainly doesn't apply to every single attraction, the overarching theme of Plopsaland are some of the different shows that Studio 100 owns. That's the operator of the park. They're primarily known for their kids shows, so they put a lot of attractions in the park based off of their properties. The name Plopsa itself is actually just a combination of the name of two different shows that they own. And the Plopsa group also operates like Holiday Park in Germany and some smaller locations around Europe, including in Belgium and Poland. That's why you'll see this family coaster right here called #LikeMeCoaster. So that's themed to the show Like Me. The whole queue is set up like a school and there's a party going on, bunch of lights, and they're playing a music video from a song from the show. This roller skater right here is actually one of the most popular attractions in the park. It's themed to a musical group called K3. It's basically the Dutch version of Kids Bop, if you know what that is. So all the kids really like this attraction and they want to ride it, so this thing gets a long line. It's actually a roller coaster that I did not do while I was at the park because I was not about to wait for that. But you know, something I will say, if you're like me and visiting from another country and you're unfamiliar with these properties, I personally did not feel like that took away from my experience at Plopsaland. I was still able to follow pretty much everything. The only one that I would say I was a little confused with was they do have this classic boat ride themed to these cute little gnomes that all live in this giant mushroom in the woods. One of our Dutch friends in particular really enjoyed the attraction because he grew up watching that show, but we were just taking in the ride for how whimsical it all was. I thought it really just added to the quirkiness of the whole park. I liked some of these random statues that they had scattered around. We learned from some locals that those were actually from past attractions or areas of the park that many of the adults who visited here back in the day will remember, and so they put these here as like tributes. So a great way for them to honor their past. I'll go through some of the individual attractions that you'll find around Plopsaland. Besides Ride to Happiness, their other big roller coaster here is Anubis. This is a Gerstlauer Eurofighter with an Egyptian theme. Very well done. I like what they did here. The ride itself is a clone of Daredevil Dive at Six Flags Over Georgia, but they just replaced the lift hill and drop with a launch. Heidi the Ride is a clone of White Lightning at Fun Spot in Orlando, Florida. I thought it was smoother than White Lightning, but not quite as punchy, so for that reason, I would take White Lightning over this. But this one does have a tunnel, so that's cool. The name Heidi is a reference to another one of Studio 100 shows, also by the same name. There's a lot of like farm animals in the queue and station areas, so that's a lot of fun. I really liked the set of medieval themed attractions right here. There's a mine train and a log flume that kind of goes hand in hand. First, the mine train is a Mock Rides powered coaster. It's in this beautiful station building. It's like a literal castle. Really cool long ride. It passes over the nearby log flume so many times. This flume is themed to dinosaurs and it is just like stunning what they did here. You literally emerge from out a dinosaur's skull and then you have a double down as your main drop. And there's theming throughout the experience. You pass by so many different dinosaurs and you don't get super wet either. It was a lot of fun. Probably one of my favorite log flumes I've ever experienced. I really enjoyed this one. The other main water ride that they have here is called Super Splash. It's located in the center of the park. It's a Mock Rides water coaster that for some reason is not on RCDB. I guess they don't consider it a roller coaster, but after I experienced it, I clearly thought it was a roller coaster. It felt in the same style as like Journey to Atlantis at SeaWorld San Antonio, or one of the water coasters at Europa Park. As an enclosed vertical lift hill and then you drop out, go into an airtime hill, have your big splashdown. So that's why I say that Plopsaland has 7 roller coasters and not 6, because I include this one. In terms of flat rides, you'll find a pretty good variety for kids. I think they could definitely use some more thrill-based flat rides, but I think that low-key this park is meant to be for like kids and families. So that's why a lot of people were surprised when Ride to Happiness opened here, because that seems like it's a way step up from their usual audience. Like one of the first things I thought of something that Plopsaland could use is like a drop tower. But depending on which manufacturer they go with, that could be too scary for some of their audiences. Something like an S&S Space Shot or Combo Tower might not be too bad though. Their main tower attraction that they have is a Starflyer, and this one's super old. It goes down a lot due to high winds because the park is like so close to the coast. But we caught it when it happened to be operating and had some pretty good views. I liked it. I think there's also a fine balance between rides that are too extreme, but just thrilling enough that everyone's going to enjoy it, even the thrill seekers. Because at the moment, I think a lot of their plug and play rides are going to be for young audiences. There's still ways that they can build a bit more thrilling attractions without being too much, which is ironic because they built Ride to Happiness, and you could say that that ride is too much for a lot of people. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what they build in the future. Some other attractions that you'll find here, there's Zamperla Disco, the larger model with the hump in the middle. On that lake in the center of the park, you can take some paddle paddle boats out. So like we boarded this big giant swan and went out on the water. I love it when parks include things like that. Obviously really interactive, and it gave some cool views of Ride to Happiness, which I liked. I like how cool these teacups looked. That's personally an attraction that is not for me, but the theming around everything was just beautiful. That was one of 3 things within this giant like castle structure on the right side of the park. There's also a restaurant there and a full shop. It was just this really impressive building. I would have loved to have spent more time here and tried out some of the nice restaurants here. Only had one meal within Plopsaland. Funny enough, it was at Pizza Hut. Yes, they have a Pizza Hut here. It's within this kind of Swiss theming by this dino flume. And I actually found this to be one of the more affordable options here because I got a personal pizza with a drink in this combo form, which is nice considering how expensive everything would have been if you get it separate, because a usual drink will cost you like €5. But I recommend that you take advantage of the fact that you can bring your own food and drinks into the park. Buy some water bottles there to bring in, because we've bought this little bottle of water right here and that costs like $5. So overpriced. We definitely would have saved some money if we just picked some stuff up beforehand. You also find the merchandise here to be fairly expensive. We bought shirts from Ride to Happiness and they were €44 each. I'm sure that's because they have like a licensing deal with Tomorrowland that they got to split the profits, but still, that's pretty steep for a t-shirt. Something I do want to present though as an option if you happen to go to Plopsaland on a particularly busy day is they do have a pretty good express pass system here that you can get. Basically how it works is you would get 9 skip the lines that you can use at various attractions. So actually this would have been something good to use at the K3 roller skater because of how long the line was. I just wasn't thinking. If you happen to catch Ride to Happiness when it's got a long line, they just let you up the exit so you can get right on immediately. But do note, if you want the front row on Ride to Happiness, they actually scratch out 2 of the skip the lines for it, not just 1. We only had 1 day at Plopsaland, so we got it just to be safe, but I think that we would have been just fine without it. Couple other things I'll mention before we wrap things up. I enjoyed some of the live street entertainment as you're just walking around. Like at one point we passed a full velociraptor. I was like, what? Why is this here? It wasn't even by the dinosaur log flume, so it's just like really confusing. But it was actually like a pretty good costume. I was impressed. At one point we saw a colored car driving through the park with someone in the back seat waving. I'm assuming he was a character from a show. I personally did not know who he was, but maybe the locals will know. But he seemed friendly. He was like smiling and waving at everyone, which is nice. And then one other attraction that we did not do, but we walked past and had a fun fact that we learned. There's this cute tractor ride going through a farm, and they used to have goats and chickens hanging out that were just like walking along the ride path. We did not see them when we were there, so either they got rid of them or they just weren't out at the time. But I thought that was fun that for an attraction themed to a literal farm, they had actual animals out instead of just like model chickens or goats. That's something you wouldn't see at like a typical American theme park. So I love all the personality that was within Plopsaland. I really enjoyed the atmosphere. It just felt so quirky. I'm absolutely glad I went, but I'm not gonna lie, I probably would not return so quickly if Ride to Happiness was not here. Like that is just far and away the best attraction at this park. And I think that's really what put it on the map for like roller coaster and theme park fans. Because like all the attractions they have here are good, but I feel like it's that roller coaster that really ties everything together. And that's like the sole reason that I would be so quick to return here. I don't even think this park was on my radar until they built that ride. So I'm really glad that attraction exists because I don't know if I would have come here without it. But I absolutely would recommend visiting Plopsaland De Panne. I think it was one of the standout theme parks that we visited in Europe. It absolutely was a full day experience. To be honest, I probably could have spent more time here. So if you get the chance to visit, I absolutely think that you'll have a great time. So let me know down in the comments below if you've had the opportunity to visit Plopsaland De Panne in Belgium. If you agree with the points that I brought up, if you think there's anything I missed, be sure to post all of that down below. And stay tuned for more park reviews here at Coaster Studios. We'll see you next time.